Okay.
No,
him.
How about yourself?
Tripping over the seat, I'm like, no.
Dry air, low guys and
I think it's recording. No, he was
Oh, because of that.
No,
Yeah, he's great, he's not gonna.
maybe at the end, there are more I want to talk about. You, Liberty Mutual, and the farm.
Okay,
Okay?
certainly.
Oh, geez, why did I sit down? I should've-
I was gonna say, I thought you were waiting.
Oh. Well, if I turn it this way.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the
Good, all right, good evening all. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for attending our November 25th, I believe, meeting. All right, roll call. John Hotchkiss here.
Joe Bailey here.
And Jim Knapp excused. Okay. First, signatures, minutes, Board of Selectmen meeting, from November 4th and November 18th.
Having already read them, I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the November 4th meeting as written.
Okay, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, and this is also for the November 19th public meeting.
Is there a motion to accept as read?
They so made.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
What was the November 19th meeting?
This is for a public hearing. It started out as a meeting, went to a public hearing about transferring funds from our access budget.
The fund balance, unassigned fund balance.
I thought it was the House Retirement Fund.
Right, I hope it is.
No, I'm sorry. It's the school department.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. What do we want to talk about? Fire edition. Anything going on in the fire edition? Anything new? I understand you have heat, more heat where is the ambulance over there now?
It will be.
Okay.
Now, we've got a fan that's pulling
Okay.
heat from the fire station side over to the ambulance side.
Okay.
It's on a thermostat, so that when the heat kicks on in the corner, that one is gonna kick on and pull the heat over.
Okay.
We got the
So-
shoreline attached to the ceiling, we've got it all marked out. The only thing we have left to do, and it's just more of a formality, is some marks behind the ambulance, so that we know how far to back up.
All right. Isn't there a wall back there? Couldn't you just back into the wall?
Until it sounds expensive.
Until it sounds expensive and then stop.
Door stop? Trying to avoid.
Keep going. But that ambulance thing come with the backup camera?
They
Oh, yeah.
did.
But that's where we wanna put those lines on the floor, so that we know where it's gonna
Actually,
line
I was
up.
just being smart. I thought I was being smart, even if it didn't go on.
No, it does.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
And side cameras too.
that's, there's one on the
I
side.
know there's cameras, I didn't realize
In the
that.
back.
Cool.
It's a lot of money, you gotta protect it.
Yeah?
All right, cell tower, anything new? Jim Knapp has been following up on it. It is my belief, hard to understand this, we waited and waited and waited for the cell tower. Waited a little bit longer to put the apparatus on top of the cell tower. Only now it seems that the company building this neglected to get cable running from Kings Highway 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet down there to hook it up with. It takes special cable. That special cable could have been done a year ago, 6 months ago. But for reasons that are not clear to me, probably two companies not talking to each other, it's all done down there. We're just waiting to get the cable down Ridge Road to hook it up, alright? Unbelievable. But on the good part, the town's getting money. I'm not getting any better cell service. When I sit at my desk in there, if I lean forward with my elbow here, I can talk. But if the conversation gets long and I lean back like this, I lose connection.
So that's how you end the call?
That's right.
That's how you end up.
Oh, I lost signal. Sorry. Old Town Hall. Anything going on? It's pretty well buttoned up. I know it was just used Saturday with you folks for the turkey raffle. Okay. I don't think there's much else going on. And later in the agenda, I think we'll have a chance to talk about that. All right, any other old business from anybody? All right, next. Chief, I have an idea what you want to talk about, and although it eventually could affect personnel, what you're presenting tonight is only broad in nature and it's not any particular person. I will begin by saying there is it's nothing to do with you, but you're gonna see the relationship. There's quite a shortage of teachers. And despite various towns trying to get qualified teachers, it is very difficult to get people who want to enter the teaching career. Okay? With that, Chief, you're on.
Just, we have the same problem in law enforcement, you know, that we see everywhere else, and Joe knows this as well in his profession, that it's tough to attract good candidates these days. There's only so few out there, and I was coming up with ways to we need to hire another officer here. And I was thinking of, we have two options. One, to hire somebody new, put them through the academy. Realistically, that takes a lot of training and time, and it's an investment for the town. Or the other option is to offer a sign-on bonus, which a lot of departments are doing now, to attract somebody that's already fully certified in New Hampshire. Essentially, he or she could come over, after a thorough background check and they're vetted and everything, and then they learn the way we do things, and you have them on the team. So those are really the two options that we have, and I presented both ideas to the board so we can find which way we could best move forward.
You forgot option 3, which is to do nothing and keep paying overtime to the ones that you have on board now.
Right, and I don't consider that an option.
Well,
I mean,
it does get expensive.
it does, and
Okay.
we want to keep the people we have. We don't want to burn them out and wear them down, So essentially, filling our open spot will help that.
2 questions for me, and then I'll open up to the audience. If we give someone a sign-on bonus, they're here for 3 months and say, Rochester just gave me a better offer, would have an agreement where we should be able to recoup
Yes.
some of the bonus money.
So I looked up the legal aspects of this and was told that we could draft a 3-year contract to whoever was going to get that sign-on bonus, the same way we would do with the new hire.
Alright.
And it's prorated, so if you're here for a year, you owe back the last 2 years on that.
Second question, and anybody wants to. Are you at all concerned that recent hires within the police department are gonna say, what about me? Because they were not offered a bonus.
I don't. I mean, I think we have a good crew, and I think by filling that slot is gonna ease some of the burden on all of us,
Right.
and we would all welcome somebody to come in that's qualified and
Right.
vetted and a known talent versus the unknown.
Right.
I have no doubt, though, that we could find somebody new and mold them into the officer we need them to be.
Right.
But I think we have a more instant relief from getting somebody that's already certified.
Good.
Alright, so pending if we do either option or whatever we do, okay? We have someone who's already certified to get vetted like that, and we have a sign-on bonus of X amount. That will not be paid up front. It will be paid, I would think, every time, every pay period divided out that way?
Well, there's
instead
two
of-
options, so when I talked to the lawyer, he said, you wanna get a good quality person, so you want them now. He suggested paying them when they sign on,
The whole thing?
the whole thing, and if they leave in a week, they violated our contract, they owe it all back, or they leave in 2 years, they owe the last year. You basically
So it
just
would be
divide.
prorated at that.
Right, so you divide the amount by 36, and that's what they'd owe us back.
So, second option would be if you hire somebody to send to the academy, what's the cost associated with that, approximately?
Approximate, it would be a bare minimum of 20,000 would be to get them through the academy. And
But on
then,
top of that, we have to pay them as well.
right, well, no, there's no cost to go to the academy.
Oh, okay.
My 20 is what we're paying them for the time, and
Okay.
then when we have that.
Okay.
We go to the academy for free, it doesn't cost us.
So again, so something like that, you probably want to have a 3 or 5 year contract, whatever.
3 is the standard, and it basically
But
that's
the
what
standard, that
everyone
means the
uses.
only one.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah.
Weighing the options, that's all.
yeah.
Okay.
Just to piggyback off of Joe's, a couple of his comments, so, and how long is the academy, what's the time frame on that?
So the way it works, if somebody comes into the job with no experience, they keep changing the academy, but I'll roughly say it's about 16 weeks.
So 16 weeks that we continue to pay overtime, I'm just saying,
Yep.
so we're continuing to pay overtime until that officer is ready to go out on his own here in Middleton.
Correct.
So, okay, just wanted to throw that out. And
With a new officer, so what happens is, we have to wait until there's an opening in the academy. So we could potentially hire that person tomorrow and start training them on our own. Prep them so they go into the academy and they can breeze through it. But when they come back, they go through a field training officer program, which is typically 12 weeks for somebody that's new. So essentially, they're riding with another officer, and it's a process.
Right, so, and then just as a second follow-up as far as the bonus, so the lawyer suggested we pay the bonus up front, and so I'm just curious as to why potentially maybe we wouldn't pay 50% up front and then 50% say a year later, or, and it's just a
Well,
thought,
what I
because then
brought
we
up
have
to
to
him-
recoup less, and it's gonna be, I'm just,
Yeah, I brought up those options to him, and he said, let's be real, you're trying to essentially take a good officer from somewhere and entice them to come here. Give them the lump sum to convince them to come over, and then if they violate it, then they owe you the same amount of money, whether they leave, in a different time period, so.
right, but I guess my concern is that it would be, I don't know, to me, I think it'd be more difficult to try and get back more money than, and I'm just saying,
And I brought up the options, he said, if they violate the contract and leave within the 3 years, or whatever you make it.
yeah.
He said it's a direct contract violation, he said it's easy to pursue, you counter that to sue
We
the person.
garnish his wages.
Yes.
My only thought on that is it would be like any other company. I mean, when you apply to other companies in private industry or whatever, you're usually paid your sign-on bonus lump sum at a certain point. So it would be, at least all the ones that I've seen, I mean, there's always alternatives, but just from, what I've seen from people I know at work, things like that, is it does tend to be lump sum, and then you'd have to get it back. But the idea is, if you're getting the good officer that you're hopefully vetted and everything else, that they're not going to be backing out.
Right.
So you're always taking a chance, but, if we need the talent that badly.
Yep, and I'm confident that whoever we get, if we go the new officer route or a seasoned person, that they're gonna get here and become part of the team, and they're not gonna wanna leave. That's my goal, and I'm gonna do everything to make that happen.
Anybody know what unemployment rate is, state of New Hampshire? I do, 2.4. Okay? For everyone else, are you experiencing the same problems within your job? Are you finding it difficult to get qualified people to do whatever job it is you're asking them to do? Yes?
Yes.
Fire department, you're going through it, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
Okay?
Yep.
I mean, in bigger cities, Rochester, Dover, are they having a hard time finding what I call a full-time, career type, no other job firefighter?
Yep.
Wow,
PDs as well.
yeah,
The hospital's offering bonuses, but you do not get it all up front.
who is?
The hospital, Frisbee.
See, and I can tell, you know, I know Irving, when they hire seasonal drivers, they give you a sign-on bonus, but you get at the end of the year upfront for that way, because they don't get the, you have to pay it back, it's, whatever.
And that,
You have to
essentially,
earn
if you
it.
look at it that way, that's like a 3-year contract.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so, it's just different ways.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, Mayor Chief, I know in the older days at least, when a police officer would say come and have a contract, I know when I lived in Milton, we'd have a bonus like that. And oftentimes Alton for a while was stealing all the Milton cops, but the town of Alton would actually pay that bonus, you know, they would pay that back, so.
To get the
I
office.
think that's another, I think that's something other, here we're going to another police department that town might pay that
Right.
off, so.
The buyout.
So
Yeah.
that's.
but if, realistically, if that happens, you don't lose anything. You try it out on that
Right.
officer, you go back to the drawing board.
Right.
Not only do you see help wanted signs, but you also read about bonuses that they offer. You know, this plumbing outfit needs a new plumber and they're offering a bonus, or this trucking firm needs experienced drivers and they offer the bonus. Yes,
What are you looking at for bonuses?
We haven't really got into numbers, but the standard is usually 10,000.
So is there legal terminology if they leave a week after that all attorney fees, court fees would be paid by them? To go, if they decide not
Well,
to pay the money?
so we're in the initial phase of it, so I talked to the town's lawyer and attorney, and he said he could draft, you know, we need a couple days to draft it, but
It'll be done legally, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna draft it, they will.
Right.
We'll pay them to draft it.
Then the only other question I have, so if you hired a green officer, like 20-year-old, no experience, being a budget committee member, I would hope that we are not paying them what we would pay someone certified. So do you have, would you,
right, they wouldn't get paid the patrol person's salary until they're through the training. They get paid something, I don't know what the steps are, but you get to that when you're full-time certified.
So the signing bonus is only for a season, it's not necessarily signing bonus like for somebody that wants to be a.
Right.
No.
No,
Okay, and that's, okay.
it's for full-time certified New Hampshire
Okay.
police officers.
Perfect, because,
Big difference.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
no, I agree, but.
Because in order to keep your certification, you have to maintain a high standard and, you know, everything gets reported to the academy, certain criteria you have to meet, so.
So it's the balance of immediate with a, say, 10K outlay versus the time of training and hiring and everything else, plus the 20K that you're estimating for
Yep.
bringing them on, and they're not as,
So realistically, if we hired somebody tomorrow, brand new person, they really wouldn't be on their own until September next year.
for,
Which, you know, either way, that's what you have to do to get somebody new to the job and have that right officer and get them to stay and have them be properly trained and everything.
And that's basically state standard, has nothing to do with
Right.
your time.
Right.
This is the minimum that they have to
Right.
put into it, at least.
Yeah. So I mean, the state standard is get through the academy and then it's up to you to do the rest on your own. There's
Yeah,
a
but-
standardized field training officer
That's what I'm
program.
saying.
Yeah, and that's the guideline of what you use. And, you know,
an open question, the budget, Joe, Kathleen, Chief, is there money in the budget for this? Are we talking about doing it now, meaning November, December, or are we talking about voting on it to increase the police budget for the March town meeting?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would say we need to try to act now. And if the town was on board with doing the sign-on bonus, I kinda went over with Kathleen that my idea would be, we gotta hit the press, get this word out, put the bait out in the water until the first of the year. If we don't get any good applicant between now and the first, then we say, all right, I have a couple people that are green that are interested in the job, one local, one in Farmington, that if they're vetted, I think they may be a good candidate for the new officer part of it, so. But I would say the
Did
sooner
you
the
put it in
better.
your budget for next year though? The
I
10,000?
didn't, cause it came up after
Yeah,
that.
but
It's
still
not too late to
time.
put it in, I'm just,
No,
Yeah.
wanna make sure there's enough money.
but when we sit down to do the budgets with everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, the budget committee, at that point, we can add into what we have to
Yeah.
do, so.
It's gonna be extremely tight with this current budget.
Yeah.
Well, you're looking,
Luckily, it's a
But
one-time
you-
thing.
the-
that
the-
we
We're
Yeah.
have
just
to-
looking
Correct.
at the police, it's a.
No,
Right.
yeah, just,
No,
So-
oh,
so-
I know
but-
it's
so-
bottom line, I'm
Okay.
just saying,
so,
If he's looking within his own line,
Yep.
he's gonna find it.
a lot of.
But I think what he's saying is we're gonna put it out like in the paper until the first of the year and then have it out of his next year budget.
once,
If
Oh,
Well,
As
no,
soon
and unless we can find something
Assuming
quicker,
it's
but I
approved.
doubt it,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
it's only 2 months.
okay.
Right.
but,
One, it's the end
Oh.
of November now, so.
You're right.
I think.
So,
John,
everybody,
I have an idea, it
okay,
just popped in my head.
alright,
We just received that $40,000 that we gave, 20 for the police cruiser, 20 for the, town maintenance for the future septic.
yeah,
We're not probably gonna do anything with the septic now until springtime, as well. And we know that we have another 40 coming in October of next year. We, you and I, and Jim can make that decision, take $10,000 out of that, what we wanna set aside, and use that for the sign-on bonus. And that will not affect the budget at all, or taxpayers.
you're correct, that money can be appropriated by the selectmen. Any unreserved fund balance cannot be appropriated, it has to go through the
Taxpayers.
town meeting in March.
So where you guys already put that in the old town hall, you can put the new money in October, the one that we're getting next year, and allocate it for the 10,000 bonus.
Right.
Right,
I'm just saying we could do that.
right, okay. Or we could do nothing and keep paying overtime every week when we fill out the forms and pay the patrolmen and so forth, the officers that we have now. So,
I know, looking at the budget last week, it was a pretty
yeah, it is.
significant
you know.
increase when that happened.
Some towns go to the extent of saying, well, we can't afford the police at all. That has certainly not worked out well. And you only look at Lebanon and Maine, we did that for a number of years. And nobody's happy there. All right, so where do we go from here? You wanna,
Table it.
well, till next week, Jim is here? Good.
And then I can call DRA about those.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, alright? But to do nothing is to do something, which means we limp along like we have been.
So at this point, do we advertise for somebody until the end, no, whatever, I mean, it's not like you're gonna hire them right now, you're gonna look for somebody for qualified, because there are other agencies out there that are offering $10,000 sign-on bonuses as we speak, and they're not getting anybody. So, I mean, for us to put it out there now and start looking, maybe you might have an attraction there for a small town.
I know there's some interest, and I think this would sway someone over. I can't guarantee anything, obviously, because I would already have it done, but.
I'd like to hear from DRA, and I'm reluctant to offer a bonus until it's been approved by all three selectmen, consulting with you folks, okay, to see where the money's gonna come from.
I mean, I have to say, from a budget standpoint, and this is me, I don't know, Tracy's standpoint or whoever else, is I like Joe's idea that we know we're getting this money back from the state and we can allocate 10,000 from that, and that's no impact to the taxpayer.
Yes.
So I'm certainly in favor of that route. I don't know what your opinion is on that, Tracy, or not.
By next week, you would hear from DRA, even though it's Thanksgiving week, you can
I should be
find
able to
somebody
do it.
that's working.
The only
on
thing
it.
is, you guys actually have to determine where you wanna put that money, cause it's anticipated now, not unanticipated, but it's anticipated, so you gotta figure out where you wanna put the rest of that money
Okay,
before the
is
budget meeting, obviously, but yes,
next Monday is,
I should be
okay.
able to get a answer for you.
Jim will be back by then, right?
Alright.
I'll get an answer before that.
is that it?
I don't,
Monday, yeah,
was he coming in Monday night?
oh yeah.
I think he's coming back Monday. I'm not sure if he's gonna be here. at
I
that
got the
time.
impression.
It's coming back Monday.
So, we'll just play it by ear. If he's here, we'll make a decision. If not, hey, you're on the way back from vacation.
Well,
Hey, what are you late?
But what we could do is have him on conference call during the meeting, so he has his input.
Yeah.
Alright, okay? Chief, I congratulate you because you just got appointed and you have to present this. I'm sure there's other things you would rather talk about than asking for
Well,
the money.
I just wanna get the team built up,
Right,
and
well, I give you credit for having the,
it doesn't feel good to come in and ask for it, but
I have to admit, and I think the budget, you guys will, okay, it's been like 3 or 4 years since we've actually been fully staffed the police department. It's like every time we just get that,
I would say
something
that's
else
probably
happens
been
like
that
that,
long.
just keeps on cranking out the overtime, you know? Be nice to have it stop, so.
in this budget that you guys are looking at of mine, you know, Blodgett was not full-time in his position, so that was a slot that had to be filled up until September, so that hurt us on that line, but my goal is to fully staff it and not have any overtime.
And not worry
Well.
about turnover, hopefully.
Right. Secure these quality people and keep them.
well, from this old dubber, I can say it takes a fair amount of moxie to make that stick, to ask for the money. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next. Chief Lawrence, you're on.
All right.
Tell us where to move, what to do.
Nope, everything's going on.
Well, Chief, we're gonna take pictures here, we don't need us in the background. You want us to step aside?
Yeah, that'd be. So we have some.
That'd be if I move.
We've had several promotions within the fire department, and rather than just keeping it behind our doors, we're trying to get it out there to the public and recognize those who have stepped up. One on being Scotty Bowden. Thank you very much, sir.
Kodak moment over here.
What is he?
Yeah, what is it?
He's a lieutenant.
Okay.
He's been on the department, well, he's been coming to the department since we were, 4? Yeah. So he's done a tremendous amount.
Do you wear that on here?
Congrats.
Is that
Yes.
what
Yep. Griffin Parks. He's moved up the ranks, got the lieutenant pretty quick, proved himself at lieutenant, moved up to captain. One of his things is Milton's engine that's over in Milton. Was one of his first rides in a fire truck was actually in a truck that was at 9/11.
Oh, wow,
So,
nice.
congratulations. Good job. All right. Mr. Lavalette. Donovan Lavalette. We didn't, just not on his shirt.
I know
He
it's not.
doesn't
It doesn't
fit
fit.
anywhere.
Wow.
Thank you so much. He's been promoted to the rank of captain. How many years you been on the department? Long time. Long time. So, you've done.
17.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
One of my,
Photo op here.
which one? Oh, all right.
All right.
What, no kiss? Her. Jake Bordeaux. Jake Bordeaux's been our captain for a while. He is being promoted to deputy chief.
Very nice.
How many have you been on?
On here?
Well, on,
24 years old.
exactly. So,
He brings together, he brings like a lot of experience.
absolutely. So, just wanted everybody to be know, we're very proud of them, and they've moved up. So,
Great job, guys.
that's it. Thank you, guys.
Chief, it is nice to have this done here. Thank you for getting the troops together and doing it out where we can all say, thank you.
Yep.
Job well done. Okay? All right. Turkey raffle. Anybody want to talk about it?
You did awesome.
This is on Saturday night, I believe.
Yes.
Many donations, many people at the Old Town Hall,
Yeah, we had a ton
and I think Kathleen, you were doing a lot of the calling out.
No, I was not. I
She's
was
still
in the
a
beginning and then I
She was
started,
at the beginning.
yeah, and then I start running. Cause Scotty couldn't handle it apparently.
All by himself.
And the idea of net profit,
We're right around $1,000 profit.
okay? Without divulging any secrets, any idea where the money is headed,
We usually use pretty much all of it for Toys for Tots every year.
okay? Which is expended just prior to Christmas.
And that's just strictly for our town use, not
Okay.
Toys for Tots in general. Just our town.
Just our
It's
town.
only
Very
kept
nice.
within Middleton.
Right?
And how many kids have we had signed up so far this year?
Well, we have 9 families
Yeah.
and most of the families have 3 children to 4 children.
Yep.
So,
30
and
kids.
to get it out on video, there is actually myregistration.com that people can in town buy toys for the Middleton children. And you just put in Middleton children for the search of the registration, if anybody wants to donate.
So is the school doing something with this too?
That's school, everybody, school,
Website again?
myregistration.com.
And before anybody thinks $1,000
My registry, sorry, I'm on registrations, I was doing registrations today.
My registry.
Myregistry.com, sorry about that.
Before anybody thinks $1,000 goes a long ways, 30 kids times $3 a piece is 900. So, you don't buy much toys, many
We
toys.
have
now.
120 items on there, not all toys. Some families just ask for coats, boots,
Take more money out of the association.
warm socks was one of them.
We take more money out of the association too for that.
Thank you.
If it's necessary.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Other people understand there's a Middleton Fire Department whose budget comes from the town. Separate from that, there is a Middleton Fire Association whose money does not come from the town. You raise it yourselves, you monitor yourselves and spend it yourselves. When you spend it, it is not for your own benefit, it is for helping the town. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay. And some of that money comes from running the trailer up at the races.
NASCAR,
Right?
yep.
Yeah,
Other money comes from boot drives
yeah.
that we do,
Donations.
and donations as well. So,
Fair amount of work goes into getting that money, it does not just appear. Thank you. Okay. You're on again?
A second time.
I shouldn't use the term fire.
Fire Will, Fire Bill.
Yeah.
Right?
I gotta take off.
Yep, thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'd like to revisit the gas lines at the fire department, the ones that go from the tank to the trailer to the station. I don't feel that it's safe, because they're sitting on top of the ground. We got about 80 feet of gas line that's running on top of the ground. It's not secured.
140.
Okay. More than I thought. So something needs to be done about it. Joe, I think your plan was to wait till the spring? Okay.
And the reason behind it, because with the septic going behind it, we have no idea where the leach bed's gonna go now, if they're gonna redesign the whole thing. The lines that are there are full of water. I know Dead River wanted to put methanol in it and stuff like that, but that's never ever worked in the past and any time I've ever done it. It's
Okay.
always had freeze-ups on regulators. It's not a good way of doing it. So, those lines would have to be pulled up and removed anyhow. So why redo them to tear them back up again?
Right.
Okay, so basically putting those in conduit, sleeving it, okay? And I know it's plastic can break, but there's not much traffic out there. So basically until springtime, it is safe. I mean, doesn't look good.
Well, it's not secured, it's not secured down to the ground. I've reached out to other people in the business, and every one of them has said, no, it can't, that can't happen. That can't stay that way. I reached out to Dead River, they're gonna come out on the 28th to do a site survey on it, to see what needs to be done for them to put where they're supposed to be instead of just running on top of the ground. There's no provision in the NFPA 54 for temporary hookup? Because I've asked a bunch of people. And everyone in went, well, if it's a couple of days maybe. Through for the next 6 months, they said no. So, like I said, I've got Dead River coming out on the 28th to do a site survey to see what needs to be done for them to be installed properly.
And 8th of what?
November,
Isn't that Thanksgiving?
That is.
or the 29th, I'm sorry.
Wow.
All right, we'll see where we go from there. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not knowledgeable about it, but first thought is it's out of the way from other people getting around it. But if there's other concerns, I'd be glad to hear from them. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Tax rates. Here we go.
It's easy. Alright, so our tax rate, right now, we set it on Friday. The new tax rate is $26.28. And
That's
our
total, right?
total. Our old tax rate was $27.99. That was last year's tax rate. I can break it down.
I was gonna say, does that include the village, cause I thought ours was
The-
I thought ours was 28 something last year.
Yours was 28.6, sorry, I always figured out the village. So the village district was $28.60 last year,
How much?
$28.60.
So what is the village now?
It's 59 cents more.
Okay, no, that's all right, so that's gonna be 20.
I mean, less. Okay, hold on. So it's 28.60 last year.
Right.
It's 59 cents more than 26.28, so it went down.
Oh, so it's 2801,
Mhm.
okay.
So it's a decrease for everybody.
So
Yes,
everything that we had control over went down.
yep, the town went down as a whole of 48 cents. And the local education went down $1.16.
Thank you, Tracy.
You know,
And the village went down 1 and 2 cents.
2 cents.
And the county tax, which we have no control over, went up.
Yep. State education went up and our county went down 13 cents. So state education went up 16 cents, county went down 13 cents.
Alright,
Paddling upstream here.
alright.
I'll
Is,
give you I'll give you the district after. I gotta use a calculator.
That's okay, no, I was just,
It's 26.80 something.
oh, you mean the village district?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's.
59 cents more than 26.28.
Oh, okay, so all right, I can do that. 56, you said?
I've seen too many numbers today.
It's 2684.
Thank you.
I
It was
think.
80
I
something.
might not have done that math.
So that's the village district from 28.60.
so this year it's how much?
The village, 2684, John, is gonna be your tax rate
Right.
over there on Hodges
What was it
Lane.
last year?
28.60.
That's down
Alright.
What's that?
That's down like 1.5.
Yeah, it's down a lot. But the selectmen put $100,000 from the fund balance toward the tax rate, so.
Yeah. That was done through a public hearing.
Yeah.
When I say the selectmen cannot spend leftover monies, you can apply a portion of it towards the tax rate with DRA, Department of Revenue Administration, permission, alright? Can't buy a new fire truck, can't buy a new police car, can't build an addition onto the municipal offices, but you can apply to use some of the money left over to lower the tax rate. And while 100,000 sounds like a lot, it's not a lot. I'm reminded that years ago, I don't think any of us were even on the board, the town would say, oh, we've got this money left over, we'll all use it to lower the tax rate. Tax rate goes down. Well, next year, there's no money left over, so they have to raise the taxes to compensate for how much they went down. Well, that really upset people. And then a year or two later, there's some extra money, it goes down. It's like a roller coaster going up and down. We've worked hard, we the selectmen worked hard with the budget committee to try to stop that. Joe, I think you have the numbers, I'll put you on the spot. As of right now, we haven't finished the year, but we anticipate how much money left over.
At this point, we are 12.5% below, expenditures
Okay,
versus budget
And-
overall.
do you have a dollar amount with roughly how much we'll end the year with?
Well, we have a $2.2 million budget, so that'd be $200,000 minimum,
Okay.
a little bit more than that, so.
Alright, that's a big,
So you put half toward the
right,
thing, and you
right.
leave half in there for,
yes,
And we are really, we've already got the department head, numbers for their budget for the coming year. And we've gone through some of it on our side, plus look at some of theirs. And the next meetings that we will be having will be with the budget committee and the department heads one-on-one in a meeting style like that. So open to the public had no input on it, that comes at the delivery session, but at this point, we can turn around and go and, tweak them even more before we present them to the, to everybody, so. Yeah, so this is, it's working out, we're pretty much on track, or below, was last year's budget.
right.
So, we don't anticipate going higher than it was last year on the vote. So, it's one of the things we're trying to do is lower it down as much as we can, and still be reasonable with everybody, so.
so, without making any promises, we're trying to hold the line on next year's budget to be very close to this year's budget.
Yes.
Is that accurate to say? From budget committee as well? Okay. And this is good news that the tax rate has gone down a bit, so. That's good. Comments from anyone?
Better.
Yes, I still am at the top of the list. Thank you very much for asking. Okay. Racing crew.
Wrecking crew.
Wrecking. Oh, the wrecking crew. I'm
And I
sorry.
smell Tammy's face around, so.
No, I knew, I forgot the hyphen.
We wanna sponsor a new race car.
On Silver Street.
Chase
But
Elliott,
yeah,
yes.
you need a new project, you know.
Jimmy
So-
Johnson's got one more year.
Yeah,
All right, so what's up with the
so
wrecking crew?
basically, we wanna have, we've done a Halloween party, we talked about that. We have the Christmas party coming up on, I think it's December 8th, 7th. That'll be, the school has their, breakfast with Santa. And after that, about 1 o'clock, we're gonna have the, Christmas party, the kids up here. We're gonna have the tree lighting, as well, like we did last year, with hot chocolate and all that stuff. Checked the lights the other night, and there are like 3 sections that are out on that tree, but it's mostly lit up. The bottom section you get by hand is out, but the other ones you have to throw some wing or get a bucket lift to fix them, so. But we can still do that as well.
What night is that?
Huh?
What night is
It's
that?
on the seventh.
Oh, same night?
Oh, it's not the same night? I thought it was, sorry. I misunderstood that.
So date
You
hasn't
don't
been
know?
set.
So,
TBD.
but the biggest thing that we wanna tell you, this should be on Facebook and whatever, we're going to be doing a holiday house lighting theme, whatever, for Christmas, whatever, we're gonna have judges going around, if you wanna decorate your house. You send Tammy your name and address and phone number, and we'll put you on the list with the judges, go around, take a look at your displays and what have you, and there'll be $100 first prize, 75 for second, and third, it'll be 50. And overall, we're gonna buy a trophy that you can put a plaque with your name on it, with a date, so we can just keep posting little plaques on it, so it'll be up here at the town or whatever, so people can look at it and do that sort of thing, see, get something promoted going.
And if they want ideas, isn't there a TV show that does this each year?
Yes.
Yeah.
They could,
Yeah, I don't
Tim
have
Allen's in it.
Yeah, change dress.
interesting idea. Nice.
Something
you.
different.
Yeah. All right, thoughts, comments? Everybody ready to enter? There we go.
The wife's already entering right now, so I'm done.
I'm gonna apologize now for all the extra work you gotta do.
Do the
We've
safety.
been
Well,
doing the last 2
apologize
weeks.
now for the trek you have to make out to his house.
Yeah, I had to get permission to enter, so I'm good now. So it doesn't quite fall in the guideline.
Yeah, that's right.
Will that be made like a map or something, so
Yeah.
people can go look at them?
We're hoping.
What we'll do is we put the map, it'll be on Facebook, so people can download it themselves and go see it at this place, like that. And it should be from like either 6 to 9 or 5 to 9 or something like that, to have it displays lit out, so. We plan on doing it on,
The Sunday of that weekend, something like that.
He has Sunday States. It is
15, it was the Sunday.
the Sunday, yes, the Sunday.
so when it happens on Sunday, we'll get the judges to tell us who they think first, second, third would be. And then Monday's night meeting here at the, selectmen's meeting, we'll announce who won.
What Sunday? Sorry.
15. I hadn't actually thought about
I
that,
forgot
driving
to
around
bring
on
the
judging night
flyers
when
to print
everything's
on
gonna be lit.
Lots of flyers sitting on the table.
I don't know if anybody's had my experience, this is very sad, it's a real tearjerker. I put Christmas lights out, plugged them in with an extension cord from an outdoor duplex outlet. Darn squirrels ate right through the cords. That ended my
We have not
outdoor
had that
lights,
issue.
yeah, well, it was very sad. I don't know if any of those little buggers
We've had that happen on our deck.
one get a hold of.
What do you think you have for Christmas dinner? Smoked squirrels.
Okay, thank you. That, if anybody wants to be a judge, are you still looking for some judges, or you're,
I think we've got them all set.
you're all set?
Okay.
Okay,
Alright.
good, all right. Okay. Kathleen, so I don't ruin this, the last item.
Yeah, who failed?
Failed miserably.
I put down fruit.
Can't even spell Reckinger. So, yeah, sorry about that.
We're done with the F. All right, more, less,
I have more.
other comments, yes.
And more. A couple of items, probably maybe I should have brought up under old business, from the 11-4 meeting, which I was unable to attend, so I watched the video. So I noticed that John Mamone is trying to vehemently go after the gentleman at the bottom of the hill for having a junkyard unregistered, which I think is great and everything. However, I'd like to know where he is with the situation that I'm involved with, that it's been 2 years and I don't believe there's been a cease and desist letter gone out. So I don't know how he can concentrate his efforts on that when he isn't currently doing.
He was out with an injury, and I believe Jim Knapp did some work with regards to the one you're talking about, but I don't know if anything's happened beyond that.
All I know is I
Planning
didn't,
board.
the planning board, I wasn't there, but I didn't understand that, one of the brothers came up to the planning board to sit down and find out what has to be done.
And
But
when was-
again, that, in my opinion, is a little bit too late, because that information was sent a year ago.
I was gonna say.
And nothing's been done since then. Now all of a sudden, he's getting a knock on the door, now he wants to get something. I think it's just, delay tactics. So, when John gets back, the conversation has to be had going forward here.
Well, I
And
hope-
I'm not trying to put you off, it's just,
I hope
I
so,
can't talk to
because
John
it's
until
been 2
he
years, I mean,
talks
it's
to him,
been
so.
2 years for that, so I mean,
So,
and it's gonna really
I think we've given
irritate
every
me.
opportunity to
It's
stop
gonna
the
really
process.
irritate me that he's gonna go full hard on that situation down there when this other situation has been out there looming. Another question as a follow-up from, the 11-4 meeting was, I guess the salt shed is gonna need to be replaced over at the town hall, at the compound over there, I guess I'll call it, the town compound. Is there consideration that the salt shed will go down on Ridge Road, or will it stay up here? Because I thought there was concerns about the well for the next door neighbor and keeping this salt up here. So,
Everything you've said is correct, let's see if I can put it in some sort of order. For this winter, the highway department will replace the tarp, which helps rain from dripping in on the salt. The structure itself had a new roof put on 3 or 4 years ago, and it's holding, but the sides are not,
Right.
okay? I would not be surprised at some point in the not too distant future, that thing's gonna fall down, okay? I think last year they put sand around the outside of it to compensate for the pressure of the sand on the inside pushing up. Concerns about a well is very well placed because I've watched the big triaxles back up to there and dump salt into the shed, except the shed isn't big enough to take a whole load. So the truck triaxle pulls forward, brings it up some more, and a fair amount of it ends up outside of that shed. Shed's nowhere near big enough. The highway crew then takes their big payloader and tries to push as much of it back as you can. I am concerned that whether it's at that moment or whether it's when you take a bucket load of salt and put it outside, a bucket load of sand, put it there, mix it up before it goes in the truck. There's residual salt there. I can only wonder what's happening to the property just down the hill, okay? They've been very polite and cordial towards us as we have limped along with this salt shed. At some point, could be as soon as March, I would not be surprised if we put in a warrant article for a salt shed. I think there's room for a salt shed down there. When that property down there was already designed, it was designed with containment ponds to prevent the runoff from going on to other people's property. Up here, it's not the case, okay? Could there be extra expense involved in having to transport the payloader from here, storage, down there to be used? Yes, but how do you measure someone's well that is now polluted with salt from years and years of the town having a salt shed there? And then we talk about another salt shed. Is it time to think about another location? Okay, so that's certainly a consideration. And if there's unexpended funds left over from this year's budget, I would consider putting in a warrant article to build one of these, okay? Before, we're in the middle of the winter with no place to put the salt at all. We're living on borrowed time. Anybody ever look at that salt shed and get close to it? It's a piece of work. You've seen it, Paul? Okay? It's a wonder it's still standing. Okay? The new salt sheds have various tops, but the first 4 or 5 feet is a cement wall to counteract the pressure of that salt pushing out, okay? The new salt sheds are often big enough to allow for a pile of salt, a pile of sand, and in the middle is the mixture where they can all be mixed undercover without it running off. So I think the time has come. It's amazing that we haven't been called on this already, either by the neighbors or DES. That salt running onto some of it. I would not want it running onto my property. If you look at the lay of the land, it goes downhill from our property.
Right.
Right?
However, there is not a requirement though by DES, or is there a requirement by DES as to how big or how a salt shed has to be built?
There's not one that I'm aware of.
Okay, that's, okay, so, no, just,
Some people, I think it's Jim and maybe someone else, are already in the process of taking a ride around to see other salt sheds,
okay.
to get some ideas of where we are on this. Okay. Anybody ever seen the Durham salt shed? Yeah, that's quite the shed. Okay.
Looks like a shed.
There's several different models of how to build these. But It is certainly getting by. Good. Any thoughts, Joe, or you agree?
I just think if we have the money on some fund balance, that'd be good. Use it for the warrant, article, get it done. Stop talking, just get it done.
So, speaking of that and getting ready to come into the budget season and whatnot, so ideas of what there will be for warrant articles,
I made a list already, but I can give you a few off the top of my head. We have to do something with the cemetery capital reserve.
Right, yes.
There's one.
right,
When we approved the cell tower, it was to be used, the proceeds would be used towards the building of a new highway garage.
right,
Anybody that was at last year's meeting can remember that there is absolutely no interest in a new highway garage. That's how we came about the idea of the fire department addition. They can stay there with 4 bays. The highway department stays where they are with 4 bays. All right? But we'd have to introduce some sort of warrant article repurposing that money that is coming from the cell tower to use it for something, maybe maintenance, maybe equipment, I don't know, it's
Right.
something that, we'll come up with some ideas, maybe it could be used towards paying off a salt shed, although salt shed is nowhere near the price of a new school, a new building, okay? We're talking, how much, any idea?
I'd say probably between $200,000 and $300,000, depending on the size of it.
Yeah. Okay. There's others that we would add money to like we have each year,
right,
right?
right, so no additional ones that we don't, and I'm not meaning to put you on the spot or whatever, just saying as we're getting ready to get into
Right.
it,
You know,
that as a need might come up before, within the next couple of weeks or month or whatever, so.
If you have a moment after the meeting, I've got the list in my office of what,
Sure.
some of the things I thought of and come up with warrant articles,
Okay.
okay?
Cause we'll have the standard ones on there that we typically have
Right.
every year,
Yes.
so, which is understandable, but then we have some that are specific for just that year
Right,
too. And I know that sometimes if we can, more often than not, if there's money in the fund balance, the money gets taken from the fund balance, so that there is no tax
right,
impact.
yes.
Even though people would argue that, well, it was a tax impact in prior years, but no current year tax impact.
Another possibility is, we often buy a piece of equipment on a 5-year payment plan. Well, as you get closer to the last payment, the last couple of payments, if you double up the payments, you would not have to pay interest on those last couple of years and could save $10, $15, $20,000 by using the extra money to just pay it off, okay? Whether it's a dump truck or a payloader, not so much the cruisers right now, because we've gotten all those from the detail money, okay? But the concept is there. Chief Lawrence, we're still paying for the new fire truck, right?
Engine 5?
Yeah. Is that paid for?
No, I think-
Five's done.
Yeah, engine 5's all paid
Alright,
for.
so there's no.
Just the
Fire.
ambulance.
No, we
That's
just
the ambulance, right, yeah.
What's that?
That's paid.
Is that all paid off?
Yeah.
Does
we
senior
only
right
have
after
50
if you
grand.
want.
Yeah, no,
That's right. No, that's paid off too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have nothing.
We can,
We don't have a
No.
lot.
we can start saving for the next one.
No debts.
Let's start
And I
saving
have
for the next
one
one.
last
Yeah,
thing
go ahead.
from, so, and I know we discussed this at the budget committee, and I just, so that I'm kinda clear on this, is, there was a posting out on the website for a seasonal position at the highway department, and that's temporary, which means seasonal, I get that. So, and I guess a couple of questions out there is that, so does that person start a specific time and they stop and they're full-time during that period? Or are they only working snowstorms and getting paid that? I'm just, because I think there was some confusion on that. And so I just kinda wanna make sure we understand where
it would begin when we start plowing snow. Okay,
So the seasonal help doesn't start until the first snowstorm? Is that
yeah,
correct?
unless there's training involved
No.
first.
Just started last Sunday.
Oh,
With
No, no,
salting.
I'm talking all seasonal help.
Paul's on now, and so is the new guy.
So they both have started,
They both have started, yes.
okay, and so they're working full-time,
No,
okay.
as
That's
needed.
this.
no, they work as needed. So seasonal full-time means you could work 1 week 9 hours, and the next week you could work 72 hours.
Right,
But there is a potential of working full-time. So, do you see what I'm saying? So,
Right, yeah.
like I just, Paul just did 9 hours this week. That's it. He gets paid 9 hours. He only gets paid what he works.
right, okay, so that's what the
It's-
seasonal help, because I know
Yes.
some towns it's different.
Seasonal's the same one. Yeah, because they're both seasonal full-time, I believe.
So,
So both of them will get paid what they work.
okay. So, with that said, so currently we have 4 people in the highway department that are town employees, and 2 seasonal people are coming in.
Right,
We have 4 plow trucks, so if we have 6 people, so what are the 3 going to be doing that aren't gonna be in a
So
plow truck?
Paul-
I'm just asking.
Okay, well, Paul, 99% of the time, unless somebody's out sick, runs the bucket loader,
Yeah.
filling the trucks, the salt and sand. And he'll plow in front of here and other places as, until somebody comes in for
Right.
another load,
Okay.
okay? That's usually what his full-time job is, okay? The other seasonal guy will be out plowing, salting, and sanding.
So one of the other guys will not be in a truck then?
well, you said, how many trucks?
We have 3 plow
Oh.
trucks. 3, I should say 3,
Big
well, when I say
ones.
plow trucks, I mean
But
big
the
trucks,
small
like a
ones are
triaxle,
usual
but
as well.
not quite. Say that again?
The smaller ones are used to help clear the intersections,
Right.
so, you have someone driving that as well.
But we have not gained any more we have not gained any more roads in town.
No,
Okay.
not to my knowledge.
But don't they have
Back
to
with-
sleep if we get a
Yeah,
big
so
snowstorm?
they go
It's
throughout,
a
but you
No,
rotation.
can't get there.
the cities are exempt from that.
Well, but I'm saying they
I
have
know.
to
No, I
have
get
to
that,
sleep.
but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
they're exempt, they're, yes, and I get that. How, I live on a state road, so the town doesn't plow my road at all,
I mean, you
so.
can't
And you
expect
also-
them
I'm
to
just
plow
saying-
24
You also
hours a
have
day
one
without
guy
a
that
break.
watches the weather.
But they will.
Right.
So
I
you
know,
have one
but-
guy that's up all night watching the weather, and then calling them in. No, I'm just telling you how it works. So you have one guy watching the weather, and then you usually have the 3 guys or the seasonal guys going out plowing and doing what they need to do.
No, it's only 2 seasonal.
Well,
You said
my,
3. No, I'm just saying.
alright, so 2 seasonal and then
I'm
your
I'm
highway
just
guys.
asking the question that we have gone this long with what we've had, and now there's a need. I just.
What is the need for the extra seasonal? That's the question. Why do we need another seasonal person all of a sudden? We've only had one in the past, right?
Right,
We've only had one seasonal driver in the past.
Mhm.
Now we need 2. Why do we need 2 seasonal drivers all of a sudden?
without getting into all the
Because it's an extra
personnel
expense in town.
information, there's a need to have additional help. But
Right, so we have a personnel issue that requires us to have extra.
Yes.
Correct.
Without getting into any more of the particulars,
Thank you.
okay? All right,
How long will that need go on for?
has not been determined, it's based on
So
needs
is,
of the personnel, I mean, that's.
I'm trying to phrase this question so I don't impact I don't violate any laws that are out there.
You're free to ask whatever you'd like. You're public. You
Well, no,
can
I
ask
know,
whatever you
I
want.
know there's laws that they can't answer, so I wanna phrase it so they
We're not
don't,
going to answer the
I don't put them into a tight spot to
Right.
answer the
And you can
question.
only ask so much before you get, we're not gonna answer, so.
Go ahead.
The pay for the individual that's not performing all his duties, is he still maintaining his full-time pay, or is he only being paid for hours?
It's a salary position.
Salary position, okay. Answers the question.
Okay. All right,
And,
No.
just as a commentary, the cemetery, which you're looking
All right.
potentially to repurpose, I believe what's in that is like around 37